Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 187. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today, we're joined by Kevin Rakestraw. How you doing there, Kevin?
I'm a bit cold.
I'm actually a bit cold as well. What's the temperature like there?
I don't know. Cold.
Yeah, it's a bit cold here too. I was out and about yesterday walking around and it was like 52 or something. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either. All right, this week on the show, got an indie comedy sandwich planned. So we're going to be talking about A Wonderful Cloud, which for some reason, that's one of those titles where I consistently forget the name. I consistently forget the title. Like when I was getting my notes ready and stuff and logging in on Letterboxd, I kept forgetting, like, wait a minute, what is it? What is the name?
Did we ever find out what's the release date for that?
Okay. I think that it's available now on Microsoft devices, but
What, on Zunes?
no, like on Xbox maybe. I don't know. I looked it up on wheretowatch.com and it says Microsoft and then it has the price, but all the emails that I got about it say next week. So It'll definitely be available in limited release and on video on demand next week. It might be available on Microsoft this week. I'm not exactly sure. We're also going to be talking about Beasts of No Nation, which premiered on Netflix and in theaters this weekend. And we're also going to be talking about L for Leisure, and that's available on the L for Leisure website, so you can see it on there. We're also going to be going over some of what we've been watching this week's movie predictions, new on video on demand, DVD and Blu-ray releases. Thank you so much for being with us, whether you're watching on the live stream or if you're watching or listening to the replay or the audio version. We're excited to have you with us. You can tune in every Sunday morning, normally. Sometimes we have to rearrange it, but normally, every Sunday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We're live on YouTube. Let us know what you think of the movies we're talking about. Feel free to drop us a comment or talk to us in the chat. I'll be trying to keep an eye on that. Before we jump into our first review, a couple quick things to go over. I posted a new Film Pulse Plays this week, so you can see that on our YouTube channel. I played the Goosebumps game, which is like a point-and-click game. Not very good, but you can check that on there if you're curious to see what that game is like. I had a decent time with it. It wasn't great, but you can see that on there. I wanted to give a quick shout out, and I wanted to do this last week, and I apologize, but I totally forgot. A guy by the name of Rick Kachka, who I'm probably mispronouncing his last name, but he made this sort of project called Consumption Optional, and I first found out about it from one of the directors of Rewind This on Twitter. He mentioned it, and then I started talking to him about it, and then I eventually got Rick's info, and he sent me a copy of this DVD called Consumption Optional, and basically what it was is he had this massive collection of VHS tapes of TV shows and things that he recorded from, I believe it was 1981 to 1984. And what he did was he took all the commercials that were in those tapes and kind of curated them and compiled them into one DVD. And it was a trip. It was a trip to watch this thing because it's just all old commercials, but some of them are so weird. And it was so weird that it seemed like everything back then had a jingle. Every commercial had a jingle.
Oh, yeah. You gotta have that jingle.
You just don't
It's the only way you can sell things, Adam.
You just don't have the jingle anymore. But some of them were really funny. Some of them were kind of odd. And it was great. And I want to thank Rick for sending that my way because I had a blast with it. All right, let's dive into our first review. We're going to talk about A Wonderful Cloud first. This is directed by Eugene Kulturenko.
That sounds pretty close.
It's close, I think.
Man, we're getting so much better at this.
Yeah, this stars Caitlin Scheel and Eugene Kulturenko. And I promise that is the last time I will attempt to pronounce his name. So, I do have a synopsis here. Let me go ahead and read this. Spend 72 hours with Caitlin and Eugene, ex-lovers, cum business partners, as they navigate the future of their relationship. You have a review for this that's coming out very soon. So
Yeah.
I think I'll start this one off. Not a big fan, honestly. It's weird. The whole time it just felt like some sort of jab against LA people
A
to
little
me.
bit.
It felt like there were a lot of jabs against LA people, which I don't have a problem with. I thought it was funny, but the biggest problem that I have was that it just felt it was just too dry. There just wasn't enough comedy there. The only parts that I actually laughed at, I think, was the scene when they went to the girl's house to print something out to use her printer, and I thought that was funny, but overall, I just it was just a little meh for me. There just wasn't a lot there.
Yeah, I would agree. I thought it worked best when it was Caitlin Scheel and Eugene. Just the chemistry between those two and the banter between those two. I thought was good stuff. But everything else, like the little comedic sidebars, like the scene that you mentioned, I didn't quite like that. Everything with the neighbor felt superfluous.
Oh yeah, I didn't like any of that.
The creepiness.
Yeah,
Everything was just too much to handle.
I think a lot of it is needlessly gross too.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't.
Because like Eugene's current girlfriend, you know, everything that happens with that is just ridiculous and outlandish, and it just didn't work at all for me.
It just seemed like everybody in this was living in this world where they were all way too comfortable with each other.
Yeah, I don't. Every time it took those turns outside of the central storyline of, you know, Caitlin and Eugene, absolutely none of that worked for me at all. It's just distracting, superfluous. I don't need it. Except for, John Enos was kind of fun. It was fun seeing John Enos playing a ridiculously wealthy clothier. Because for whatever reason, to me, John Enos just happens to be like the funniest straight man in comedy.
You should check
I
out.
haven't seen him for so long.
He was in Video Game High School, that show on YouTube. Yeah, he was in that show.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen him since Mr. Show.
And I just saw him in a movie that I'm going to be talking about in just a little bit.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
John Enos comeback.
Yeah, a little bit of a John Enos comeback here.
Nice.
I just there wasn't much to it for me. I didn't find a lot of it funny. I didn't find a lot of it very compelling. Visually, it was average to me. I think it's interesting because are they? What's the story behind this? They're actually
Apparently they're real life exes.
yeah.
And so it's kind of one of those fiction or docu-fiction hybrids, whatever you want to call it, and how they work in Caitlin Scheel's footage that she takes with her smartphone, which I really didn't see any need for that.
Yeah.
Like, I understand it to an extent, because you're kind of like blurring the line between fiction and reality, but again, that didn't work for me either.
But also that may only really work if you actually know that they're real life exes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And but a lot of the footage that she's taking with it doesn't really, there's really
doesn't
no
add
need
anything.
for it. Yeah, it doesn't add anything to it outside of like, oh, okay, so this is like slightly documentary, but
I was asking myself, how much of this is documentary? I mean, they're still essentially on making a movie.
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
That's why and I kind of touch on that in my review, is that like on paper, it's an intriguing concept, but the actual execution of it and the final product, just it's far from that, I thought. And then much like you, a lot of the cinematography and the actual execution of everything, all of it's kind of just average. There's nothing really to latch on here, except for me, the end, when they go to the 4th of July party. There's some stuff that comes out, especially the drone footage that he uses.
Yeah, at the
which
end.
I thought was fantastic.
I liked
but
it.
It's a bit too little, too late.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. I just don't have a lot to say about this one. It just felt like a very generic indie comedy to me. There was not a lot that stuck out. I mean, the only stuff that really stuck out for me was the gross out stuff.
Yeah,
but
because there's like the central storyline is, again, it's pretty engaging, and I like the way that they handle it, and like the emotional minefield that they're navigating. But then everything on the outside of that is just so juvenile.
Mm-hmm.
It just really undermines everything.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm with you. There's not a whole lot to say with this. It's pretty forgettable, unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm struggling to come up with more things to talk about in this review, and I can't even. And I just watched it last night too, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know what to say.
What about, licking armpits?
Licking some armpits, pooping in some shoes.
Sure.
Probably shouldn't. That's a little bit of a spoiler, but
yeah. But I mean, if that's what you're spoiling. If we're considering that a spoiler, you kind of gives you an idea of what you're working with here.
Now, what I'm wondering is, do the two of these people, do they live in New York or do they live in LA? That's what I'm wondering.
I don't know.
Like, did she actually end up moving to LA? Was he living in LA?
Perhaps.
Because it felt like a New York movie that was kind of taking the piss out of LA people. Like that's kind of the one thing that New Yorkers and LA people like to do.
Yeah.
Just take the piss out of each other.
Taking the piss out. Take it.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know.
If you're interested in seeing that.
Yeah.
That hasn't been done before.
Never seen that.
Never seen people be judgmental about another city. The people that live in it.
Yeah. All right, well.
Good talk.
Yeah.
Good talk.
I apologize. I don't have a lot to say about this one.
I don't either.
Let's just give it a score. We're struggling, and it's starting to sound pathetic. So let's just
much like the people in the movie, because they're all different levels of pathetic.
Yeah, this was a Manila folder for me. I'm giving it a 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10. I'm going 5.5.
5.5 out of 10. There you go. That's A Wonderful Cloud. Definitely on demand and in limited release next weekend. You might be able to find it now, apparently on Microsoft platforms, but I don't know. It had a really weird release thing. So let's move on. Let's talk about Beasts of No Nation. This one is directed by Cary Fukunaga. Although I guess, is he going by Cary Joji Fukunaga now? I don't know.
I guess. I don't know.
Just recently, I noticed that he was using the middle name. I have a synopsis here. A drama based on the experiences of Agu, a child soldier fighting in the civil war of an unnamed African country. This stars Abraham Attah and Idris Elba. Kevin, why don't you start us off with this one? What did you think of Beasts of No Nation?
Beasts of No Nation, I thought it was all right. I think it's
not a lot to say about it.
A couple of things. Number one, it's kind of a hodgepodge of essentially all other war films. It doesn't seem to have like its own voice really. I thought it spends entirely too much time focused on Idris Elba's character, and I don't think Elba's performance was that particularly strong when you compare it to the performances of everyone else, because I thought Abraham Attah was absolutely fantastic, and it kind of made Elba's performance look a bit amateurish.
I disagree with you on that. I thought that he did a great job, but
I thought
everybody did a great job.
I thought he was just hamming it up a bit too much.
But that's
everyone else felt so genuine and just giving really like naked performances.
I don't know.
He's just a bit over the top for me.
But to me, that was the character. Like they made a point to show him, staring at the kind of the throne. That's what he wanted. He wanted to be he wanted that throne. So naturally,
which is kind of the problem that I have with this film, is that you have such a much more compelling narrative with the child soldier, and you give the illusion that's what this film is actually about. But there's not that much going on with the kid. all of your time is focused on Idris Elba, which is kind of like false advertisement here.
Well, I think I understand having him in there because Idris Elba turned into basically a father figure to this kid.
Yeah.
But I do understand what you're saying, where I think that maybe there should have been more plot that happens that kind of shapes this kid's personality and things that happen that, you know, we can see more about what happens to this kid.
Yeah, because I thought that would have been a much more, I mean, I don't want to say it would have been a fresher viewpoint, because there has been films about, you know, obviously child soldiers and everything, but I thought that it was a much more, comparatively speaking to Idris Elba's narrative, you had a lot more going on with the kid, and then that should have been explored more, because we've already seen the, you know, the guy ravaged by war and he becomes obsessive and he kind of loses his mind because he gets obsessed with power.
Yeah.
And he turns into a raving lunatic, even though he already kind of was one to begin with, just a more egregious version of one.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, man, I've seen that before.
Yeah, I've seen it before, but I don't think that necessarily is a bad thing. I think that people should always be cognizant of this type of thing going on in the world. And
I just thought it was slightly disappointing, especially when, you know, your synopsis and your posters and everything is kind of putting Agu front and center, like, this is about a child soldier fighting in the war. It's like, okay. And then, like, you know, 60% or 70% of it is Idris Elba, and you're like, wait a second, what's going on here?
Yeah, I guess I can see that. That didn't really bother me. I thought the movie was going to completely wreck me, like, emotionally, but it didn't, actually. There's some really intense stuff in this movie, no doubt. No doubt about that. And I thought that the beginning, the whole build-up to what happens was quite effective. And, like, I was just, because I knew where I was going to go, obviously. So during that whole build-up where we see his home life, and we see his great family and all this stuff, I'm like, oh God, this is going to wreck me. This is going to destroy me. It's going to tear at my soul. But for some reason, it really didn't. Now, that's not to say I didn't feel emotional about it, but it just didn't pack the wallop that I expected it to.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I'm not, you know, I don't know why.
There's definitely a couple scenes that get you.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's some major stuff that happens. I mean, there's obviously this is a movie about war, and it's not like, you know, a clean war. It's a very dirty, horrific war. So not that all wars aren't dirty or horrific, but, you know, these types of wars are particularly nasty.
Especially when you get those machetes involved.
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
have a particularly gruesome machete scene in there.
Yeah, it is a violent movie, and it is a movie that at times is difficult to watch, but at times I think that this movie is absolutely gorgeous. Some of the cinematography in this looks incredible.
Yeah, there's a number of sequences, especially that one where they kind of tint the landscape.
Yeah, when it's red.
What was that? Pink. That was after he had the brown.
Yeah.
Put on his forehead, so it kind of goes into this hallucination type sequence. I thought that was particularly strong. The one where he's navigating the trenches. That
was amazing. That was my favorite, and you can see that.
Mudwater.
Yeah, you can see that in the trailer. And
that was fantastic. And the initial, when he runs away and he's running through the bush, kind of just on his own. I thought that was particularly well done. Kind of, you know, using the wide angle shots, showing him as just like a little dot.
Yep.
How alone he is.
Yeah.
But it just feels like a missed opportunity. There could have been so much more here. It could have been so much more powerful.
You mean visually or plot-wise?
Plot-wise, along with the visuals, because you kind of have the visuals there, but, you know, kind of like you're saying, there's not that emotional impact.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I guess I would agree. It is kind of a missed opportunity, because the visuals, like, at times were really strong, and at times they were just, you know, they weren't bad, but they were just regular. They were just normal, just regular old But then they're like,
And
you have this like you have these kind of accents, these like sprinkled in bits where you're just like, holy crap, that looks amazing. There was one, it was a really simple shot of just like him. It was just like a front facing shot of him just kind of standing there in the foreground, and it almost looked like it was a photograph. It looked really, really awesome. It was just like him standing in a village or something, and that really looked amazing.
And I think that a lot of this comes back to I think they just focused too much time on the Idris Elba character. There's just too much time spent with him talking to, his soldiers.
Right.
And talking about what he wants.
Yeah, the way that it's structured is different than I expected. I expected this to be following this kid's life from before he became the soldier to when he first got recruited to, when his evolution into this kind of battle-hardened child soldier. And it's sort of that, but it like you said, the perspective changes to Elba's character quite a bit, and I guess maybe that's one of the things that kind of mutes the emotional impact of it, because it temporarily disconnects us from the kid, and I think that maybe is why that occurs, that kind of disconnect.
And especially after when it gets to the point where Elba meets face to face with I forget what what was he, like the Supreme Commandant or whatever?
Yeah.
And then it takes, this completely different path with Elba. And for me, all that just felt shaky. Like we fast forwarded through everything and it really fell apart for me at that point. And then it finally comes back to the kid, but it feels like we've been far too removed from it, that it's kind of, like you said, it kind of mutes it.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of undercut everything that we had before. We were too far removed from it, and it just didn't have that impact of that ending.
Yeah. I will say that I did like the ending. I like how it all turned out. I mean, it's something of a hopeful ending, but I was still glad to see it.
It's as hopeful as you can get.
Yeah, as hopeful as you can get.
Considering everything that happens.
But yeah, it was I don't know. It was I liked it overall, but I do agree with, the criticisms that you have with it.
I mean, I like it overall, but it's not. This isn't ending up in any top 10 or
no,
anything like that.
No, it wasn't nearly as powerful as I expected it to be. And, maybe that's on me, but
maybe it is on you. Maybe you did fuck up, Adam. It's all your goddamn fault.
My expectations were just too high for this one.
Learn how to watch a fucking movie. Jeez.
I don't know. I guess I was just expecting something more emotionally draining.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite get that. I mean, obviously I felt for Agu, and I wanted things to turn out good for him.
You just wanted it to go back to him and his imagination TV.
Yeah,
because I could have watched that as a movie. I could have watched that for 2 hours. Them just doing imagination TV.
Yeah,
that would have been great.
That was actually awesome how they framed that, because that actually looked really cool.
I loved it.
Yeah,
you wanted to go back there.
Yep.
But.
I think it's interesting that this is. I don't know if this is the first movie that Netflix has done where it's been simultaneously released in theaters and on Netflix at the same time.
I think it is.
It's interesting because I feel like this is a movie that easily could have just come out in theaters.
Yeah.
And because I don't know if it still qualifies for awards consideration because it came out on Netflix at the same time. I'm not sure how that all works.
Oh, I'm sure the studios aren't gonna let that work out. I'm sure they'll have some sort of, but who knows? Well,
there's probably
they might be forced to, but
right, because there's probably nothing written about that yet.
It's just, I mean, I thought it's great that I'm able to see it Netflix day of release, but with it being a war movie, this is something that you need to see on a big screen.
Right. And I kind of regret seeing it at home because it is playing here, and
so you actually have the ability to see it.
Yeah.
theater setting.
Yep.
Which, you know, that obviously that could play a part.
It could play a big part, yeah, because I'm usually more emotionally attached
Yeah.
to a movie.
You're more immersed into the
Right,
experience
exactly.
when you're in a theater setting.
And
That's the beauty. That's the beauty of a movie theater.
right, when you have the giant screen, the loud, you know, the great acoustics and the great sound, and
Yeah.
it's way more immersive.
That's the entire magic of cinema. It's kind of based around that. It's that you go into this dark room with strangers and nothing else exists except for what's on a screen.
Yeah, so maybe it would have been more effective. I mean, that's there was I guess it was this week, and this is going off on a little sidetrack, but I don't know if you saw that Tarantino is releasing 2 different versions of The Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
And the 70 millimeter version is actually longer. It's an extended version of the film, and it's actually going to have an overture and an intermission in it. And with the multiplex version, he's actually adding more cuts into a lot of the scenes, because as it turns out, a lot of the scenes are very long single take shots, and he feels like it's not going to translate as well in the multiplex, so he's cutting it up differently. Whereas the 70 millimeter version, which is designed for, you know, the large screens, is going to be longer takes in the scenes. So I think that, just going back to the whole theater thing, I think that there is something to be said about the theater experience. I mean, a lot of people
Definitely.
you know, I could tell you about when I saw Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar, and I saw it in the theater, saw it in a giant theater in 3D, and I thought it was incredible. Saw it at home, thought it was garbage.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, especially with those types of spectacle movies, you kind of castrate them a little bit when you watch them at home. Mm-hmm. It's not the full experience.
Yeah, so I think with Beast of No Nation, yes, I think it would have been more impactful if I saw it at a theater, but with movies like this, I think that they need to be able to stand on their own, regardless of the format that you see them in.
Yeah.
Because a film like this is designed to, it's not about the scenes of war. It's about the impact the war has on the main character, who's a child.
Yeah.
So
which unfortunately you don't get to see much of.
You get to see maybe I don't know, three major scenes that happen, 3 or 4 major scenes that happen, and then the rest of it is just him kind of internally dealing with the stuff that he's been through. So maybe if there were more like set pieces or specific things that occurred to him during this. For me, I just wish it focused solely on him, and that we didn't have the big ticket attraction of Idris Elba kind of taking over. Yeah.
I thought it would have worked much better.
Yeah. Although I will say that I thought that Idris Elba did a great job with it.
I thought, I mean, don't get me wrong, I thought he was good, but just, unfortunately for him, comparatively speaking, everyone else around him gets such great performances.
Well, but...
And he just kind of sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, because he's Idris Elba. I mean...
Well, yeah.
I mean, maybe if some of these other actors in this film were people that you knew, maybe they would stick out more too. I mean, Idris Elba is a big Hollywood name now.
Yeah.
So I think just because you knew him could affect that.
No, definitely.
But either way, I thought he nailed the role, and I thought everybody did a fantastic job. So, in summation, visuals on point, acting on point. I like the music a lot too, actually. The score was
pretty good.
The score was really good. The only thing that was lacking was kind of just a little bit lacking in the plot and storytelling department.
Yeah, the emotional weight just wasn't there.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and give this a score. Kevin, what are you going to give Beast of No Nation?
Beast of No Nation. I'm going to give you 6.5.
I'm going to give this one a 7. All right.
I was thinking 7. I was thinking.
Yeah, it was solid. Wasn't quite what I expected, but still a solid watch. Let's move on and talk about our final film of the day, and that's L for Leisure. This is directed by Whitney Horn and Lev Kalman. I have a synopsis here. Art house comedy set in 1992 to 1993 following awkward graduate students on vacation all around the world. Now, with this one, I'll start it off, because you have a review for this up on the site. I hated this, for not overall, but I hated this for the first probably 5 to 7 minutes. I could not stand it because
I gotta say this, I was really excited for this one just because I had no idea how it would go with you.
Well, I didn't know, you told me about it, and I had no idea. I didn't read anything about it. I didn't know anything about it. I just went in completely cold. And for the first, 7 minutes, I'm like, what the this is the worst acting ever. What is going on here? It felt like a Tommy Wiseau film or something. It felt like some kind of weird, training VHS tape that companies give out to new employees. It was just the most horrid acting, and none of it made sense. I'll tell you the thing that turned it around for me was the Snapple scene towards the beginning. That Snapple scene. That's kind of, I know, honestly, that's kind of what got me too. Because
I knew a little bit about this movie and what it was going for and everything, and much like you, at the beginning it was kind of shaky ground, and I was like, man, I'm not feeling this. And then when she says that she's so mellow, and he's like, oh, have some of my Snapple. It's just like, oh, there it is. There's the key that unlocks the door. Yeah,
that was exactly what did it for me. When I realized this is some kind of weird, experimental comedy thing that's kind of poking fun at these movies of the 90s. And then later on, I looked this up on IMDb, and the tag, at least the listed tagline here, is find out what happens when people stop being real and start being polite. Which is the opposite of the real world tagline. So yeah, it's kind of weird. It definitely has it almost feels like it's a parody or a satirical take on Richard Linklater's Slacker to me, where it's just these segments of college students who are on vacation and having conversations while on vacation.
Yeah.
But
I just love the way that it works. That they're constantly asking if it's part of their field research, everything that they do.
The tree spirits.
The tree spirit. Pony elders?
Mm-hmm.
Should I be talking to the pony elders? There's a lot of tough questions in there that need to be answered. But they're not. They're just they just constantly, every time that the movie, you think, okay, it's going to go somewhere, it just goes full into music video mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it needs to be said that the original soundtrack for this movie is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. And it's just because it kind of mirrors what they themselves are doing, where, instead of doing any of their graduate work or any of their intellectual research or studying that they should be doing, they just keep having fun.
Yeah, they're just boogie boarding and...
Fucking boogie boarding is crucial.
They're just boogie boarding it up.
When they ask her about her tree spirit, what have you learned? And she's like, go faster, slow down, stop. And then it just smash cut to them just water skiing for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think this is one where once you get the joke, once you're in on it, then you can appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah, once you settle into its rhythms, there's definitely fun to be had. It's just, and of course, with it being vignettes, little episodes here and there, obviously some are stronger than others.
The one that I did not like at all, and I thought was way longer than the others, was the one where they met up with the girls. Yeah. And had that where they were daring each other to do stuff. That one didn't work for me, except at the end where they show the koosh ball laying on the ground. That worked for me. But
they saved it with the koosh ball.
Yeah. But that one felt longer than the others, and I was just ready for that one to be over. That segment, I was like, all right, I'm done with this one. But the others, for the most part, I thought.
And the two that were the strongest for me were obviously the fucking around with jeans.
Yep. Oh my god.
That was just everything that happens in that segment.
That's the best one.
Like, why do they have so much nutmeg? Like, that's
10 bags of nutmeg.
An egregious amount of nutmeg to have. There's no need for that. Even though they're making like 8 pies, which again, why are you making that many pies? But pies are great. It's understandable. I don't know why you have like 8 bags of nutmeg though. So they, get high, and then the guy just shows up and he's talking about getting bags of jeans, which didn't make any sense. But I was for it.
They gave him jeans and $100.
You can't give me $100. And how she interjects, like, "Oh, is this field research?" It's like, "Yeah, kind of." And just the fact that the guy just looks at him and says, "Hey, you want to fuck around with some jeans?" And then it just goes into a montage of them literally fucking around with jeans.
Yeah, they're just fucking around with those jeans.
They do so many things with those jeans. Now, obviously, I didn't think they did enough with the jeans. They could have fucked around with those jeans for much longer, and I would have been very happy. And then then you end up with pie comas. Everyone laying around with pie tins on their stomachs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. And the basketball sequence, because anytime I get to see more Benny Coopersmith in a film, I mean, this guy is just like the greatest character ever. And his musings on Michael Jordan's basketball abilities was just fantastic.
Yeah.
And the way that he just stops to check his beeper. And then his brother shows up, and then his brother promptly gives him a piggyback to dunk. Come on.
I liked that scene too. It's it almost reminds me of something that Adult Swim would put out.
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of weird. It's comedy, but you don't know if it's unintentionally bad or just bad. It's really weird. It's kind of hard to pigeonhole this one.
It definitely is. I mean. For me, I don't know how it was for you. I did feel as though some of the comedy was a bit insular at times and at arm's length, mostly just because I don't have, I never went to college and I'm not a part of, academia. So some of it didn't quite work for me because I was just kind of lost as to what is being talked about.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it still works. It's still pretty strong.
A lot of the dialogue was kind of hit or miss for me because, like Slacker, I pretty much forgot everything that was said. All the quasi deep conversations that they were having, I pretty much forgot all that stuff as soon as I watched it because it was just pointless to me. But I don't know. I think that's part of the design. They're talking about nothing. They're trying to have these deep philosophical conversations, but it's really they're just talking about nothing. And I think that's part of the joke. And
they just want to stop and get to that boogie boarding or fuck around with some jeans, have some Snapples,
some crystal clear Pepsi cocktails. I was really surprised that we didn't see any wine coolers being consumed.
Yeah, there was no wine.
Fully expecting some B&J in there, wine coolers.
Oh man, B&J. Shit.
There's a lot of 90s things in there. A few times there were some 90s things just for the hell of it, just to throw in some more 90s references, which I thought was fine. I loved it in the basketball scene when they just broke down into song. They're playing basketball and they just started singing. Was that I think it was a Mariah Carey song?
Oh, God.
That was funny.
Yeah, and then I just love the weirdness too of the laser tag sequence.
Yeah, that was odd.
Starts off with they keep cutting to it, and it's just overly stylized, and it's just kind of random, and then it starts to get really weird, which I thought was fantastic. It's a good time.
Yeah,
I had a good time.
It's only 74 minutes long, which I was thankful for. I don't know if I could have taken much more.
No,
I think the length is good. It probably could have even been a little bit shorter for me, but
I think that they it's almost as if they know what they're doing.
Yeah,
can easily outstay its welcome and kind of be, start morphing into grading.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Something that Linklater didn't seem to know in Slacker.
well, yeah, because I couldn't even get past 5 minutes, actually. So, it's like, oh shit, it's just full on grading. No, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I had to try several times to get through that one.
One of these days, I'll give it another shot, but I just need more Benny Cooper Smith. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I just have that guy talk. Just have him talk, because everything he says is humorous.
Yeah, and he was in
Even
several.
when he's not trying to be funny, he's just funny.
He was in several of those segments, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Because they mix it up. Like sometimes certain people aren't in the segments, but I noticed that Blake is in a bunch of them.
Blake's in a lot.
Bro Estes.
Oh, jeez.
His name in real life is Bro Estes, and he plays a guy named Blake. I mean, what? This is like the most 90s sounding names ever.
Oh, God.
Yeah, L for Leisure, I recommend that.
Recommend it as well. I love, because this is on, you mentioned it earlier on their website, but it's through that VHX platform.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I just kind of discovered because of this, and I gotta say, I like it. I like it a lot.
I feel like there was at least one other movie that I saw through that VHX platform. Maybe something that was set. I think it was.
Because it did look kind of familiar.
I think maybe we got a couple different screeners through that, but yeah, I actually liked it too. So
I love the idea that it's essentially whatever the money, the proceeds, or whatever goes straight to them, and how they have a couple of different. Because I think like with this movie, there's a package where you can buy it, and you also get like the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I definitely suggest checking out because man, that soundtrack is something.
Yeah,
it's
a really good soundtrack. Yeah, if you're into like 90s kind of electronic fun.
Poppy.
Yeah, very
Poppy
bubblegummy. Yeah. All right, that's L for Leisure. You can check it out on the website. Probably if you just search for L for Leisure, you'll be able to put it in there. I'll throw a link in the show notes later on for that one so you can find it. Yeah. What are you going to give this one out of 10, Kevin?
I give it a 7.5.
I'm going to give this one a 7.
Nice.
Yep. I had fun with it. It was definitely not what I expected. It was a little odd, and I gotta say, you gotta warm up to it. You gotta warm up to kind of the shtick behind it, and then I think you'll appreciate it, especially if you appreciate those kind of weird Adult Swim-esque things that they do sometimes.
If you can reach the right level of mellow, I think it'll be good. You just gotta be mellow.
Being mellow is actually key for enjoying this one. So
yeah,
just be mellow. If you can find yourself some Crystal Pepsi
or an ice cold Snapple.
Yeah, Snapple.
Just sit down, lay back.
All right, let's move on. Talk about something we've been watching. Why don't you start us off this week?
Okay, I'll start us off. One that I didn't really get to talk about last week, but there is the review's been up there for a while. Unsung Indie, and that's Ian Clark's MMXIII, which I have. How do you, when you're doing Roman numerals, is that how you do it? You just say the letters? I've never had to do this before.
I don't know. I guess you either just say the letters or say 2013. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if you just say 2013, then people may think that you're just referring to the numbers. So maybe you would just say MMXIII. I don't know.
Which I think is an odd thing for me at 31 years old to be asking that question.
Well, I would guess that a lot of people don't know the proper way to say that.
Plus,
I mean, maybe
there's Google right there. Like I could look it up in a matter of 2 seconds. And get
maybe you would just say 2013, but just clarify that it's in Roman numerals. But then again, a lot of people that you talk to probably wouldn't know how to write that out in Roman numerals.
No, probably not. Well, anyways, let's get to the film itself. This is, oddly enough, came out in 2013, so I imagine there's some sort of correlation there. This is an experimental film of sorts that's relatively short. I think it's only like a little over an hour, and it's mostly about Ian Clark himself searching for like the perfect image, trying to capture like the perfect shot, and it's a large majority of it is just still frames for long durations of time, just fixed on one image, maybe clouds, maybe a field, a tree, something, and it just kind of lets the time go by and the changes of light and everything. And then he starts to implement you see some like behind the scenes of them like actually working and planning out the film that they're making. So then it starts to take this turn where the camera kind of goes into the search itself and kind of focuses on him trying to find these images. And it provokes a lot of thought, at least for me it did, because I'm kind of obsessed with that myself. So that kind of obviously helped a little bit. But it's a very interesting film. And I mean, it's a little over an hour long, and you can watch it for free on Vimeo.
Oh, okay.
So I highly recommend this one. It's quite interesting.
All right, check that out. MMXIII. That's probably the best way to say it.
Real quick like that.
Well, because that's how you would want to search for that. You would
type it in that little address line there.
Right. I saw a documentary called Call Me Lucky. This is directed by Bobcat Goldthwait, and it's about the comedian Barry Crimmins. Do you remember him?
I don't think I do.
He was sort of big in the 90s. He was in the same kind of stand-up comedy scene as like Patton Oswalt and David Cross and Margaret Cho and Stephen Wright. He was kind of in that Boston comedy circuit. Obviously Bobcat Goldthwait too. Really, really interesting documentary. It starts off as your typical kind of talking head doc about this comedian and his background and his work, his comedic style, because he's also kind of an activist, and obviously that bleeds over into his comedy. And he's just a extremely, extremely intelligent person, and he loves to do comedy about like social and political issues, but he also does kind of activist work. And so that's kind of the first part of the documentary. Then something happens. There's some things that are revealed. Now, people that are familiar with Barry Crimmins probably already know a lot about this stuff, because it's all kind of public record at this point, because he talks about it in his stand-up and stuff. But for people like myself who didn't know, it was quite a shocking twist that happens in this movie, and the documentary kind of takes an extremely dark turn and turns into something that's completely different than your typical documentary about a comedian. It's really interesting. It's almost like, you know how Bobcat Goldthwait in his films, they're always comedies, but they have this kind of dark, that he injects this kind of twisted dark tone into them, you know? He does that with almost all of his movies, where there's this like twinge of darkness to them. And somehow he's able to do that in a documentary, and it's really interesting. I think that this is his first documentary that he's directed, and it's pretty damn good. I mean, like I said, it's mostly talking head stuff, but he puts in a lot of really like establishing shots and like kind of B-roll stuff that looks really good, how he frames it and stuff, and there's some animation in there as well that's fun. So I definitely recommend this. You can see this on I think it's on VOD right now. It's called Call Me Lucky. I think it came out on DVD and Blu-ray this past week. So yeah, I would recommend checking that out, especially if you're not familiar with, if you're into comedy, if you're into stand-up comedy and you don't know who he is, it is worth checking out. I think I think you would like it, Kevin.
Yeah, it definitely sounds interesting.
I also like documentaries that start off as one thing and end as another thing.
Just completely shift.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this does. So it's it's well worth a look. Excellent documentary. Call Me Lucky.
Okay. I watched a classic horror movie.
What?
First one of October.
What?
Watch out. Kevin's on a tear. He's got one down. I watched The Omen, 1976. Richard Donner, Gregory Peck, Lee Remnick. This is, it's not really what I thought it was going to be. Like, I was fully expecting this kid, the Antichrist,
Mm-hmm.
Damien.
Mm-hmm.
It's so ingrained in the culture that I kind of had this expectation built up around, everything that I've seen without actually seeing the movie.
Right.
So I thought this kid was going to be evil as shit. And he was going to be creepy. He's just going to be absolutely terrible. Really, the kid, he's a kid. Like, it's not that frightening.
Mm.
I was wholly let down, to be quite honest. It was just more about, I didn't know it was more about dogs and like devil dogs.
Devil
But
dogs.
devil dogs, there's just, for me, there wasn't that much. There's no atmosphere. It wasn't creepy. It wasn't terrifying. It wasn't horrifying. It was just a slightly interesting film about the Antichrist. And one of the things that I thought was fairly interesting was the how he kind of comes across all of this through the journalist photographer taking pictures and kind of getting this like the omen of what's going to happen to people. And when he shares it with Gregory Peck, and it's pretty good when it's working in that vein where it's kind of this investigative drama. But the thing that I don't understand is with this guy being able to take pictures of how people are going to die, is how does Gregory Peck not immediately say, like, okay, let's take pictures of everyone I know and love so we can know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do that. Instead, he goes to Rome and tries to figure out where this kid came from. To me, it was okay. I was really let down, to be honest. Just, I don't know what I'm missing here.
Well, I honestly don't remember anything about this movie, so I can't tell
There
you.
you go.
It's definitely not like one of my go-to horror movies to recommend to people or anything. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
definitely not on my list either. It was
That's the Omen.
eh.
Maybe one of the many sequels will do it for you. The one with what's his name, Sam Neill. Maybe that one.
Maybe.
I think that's the Omen 3.
'Cause I thought, and it starts off pretty good when the first thing happens, because you have this dog just like staring down the nanny, and I'm just like, oh shit, this is about like demonic dogs like telepathically telling people to do terrible things. What a concept! And then she like hangs herself from the top of the house, and smashes into the window. And it's like, oh shit, this is a great way to get things started. But then that was the high point, and it never really went anywhere, and just became disappointing.
I saw Goosebumps.
Oh, you got them Goosebumps?
Yep, I went to see Goosebumps. Had a great time with it, honestly. I thought it was pretty fun. There were definitely problems with it, but it felt like a kind of throwback, old school family Halloween film, and I kind of liked it for that. It was similar to, I mean, not on the same level as Monster Squad, but definitely had a kind of similar vibe to it, where it was a horror movie, but it was still fun. It wasn't scary at all, and it was way funnier than I expected. Like, there were many times that I was laughing out loud at this movie. There were some stupid jokes, there were some like dumb visual gags, but the dialogue was surprisingly funny, and there's some pretty funny people in this. What's her name? Crap. She was in, I think her name's Jillian Bell. Yes, Jillian Bell. She was in 22 Jump Street, and she's in Workaholics. She's really funny.
Yeah.
She's really funny, and she's funny in this as well. Jack Black does a decent job. He's kind of funny, I guess, in it. Like, he was okay.
It's just essentially with Jack Black, what you want is for him to just not go too far with it.
Yeah, and he doesn't.
And you're okay.
And he does it in this because of the character he plays. He plays this kind of curmudgeon-y, shut-in as R.L. Stine. So that actually kind of worked for me, and the rest of it was okay. There was like a big twist that happens that I saw a mile away that I predicted from the very, very beginning. So that wasn't a big deal to me. Ken Marino's in it for about 3 seconds, and it felt like his stuff got cut. It felt like there were some things that got cut out of his. He's kind of a love interest for Amy Ryan's character, who plays the main kid's mom. And Ken Marino is sort of this love interest. He works at the school where she works, and it felt weird because he has like 3 lines in the whole movie, and it almost seems as if they cut some stuff out there. A lot of people are calling this movie sexist, which I just can't see that, where it's a kids movie. You know, like, just why can't we just let it be a fun kids movie?
Is it like actually sexist? Or...
I don't think so. A lot of people are saying because all the females in the movie are in distress the whole time, and it's the guys that need to rescue them constantly. But, you know, when I was watching it, I didn't notice that. I didn't think about that. I was just having fun at a family film.
Yeah.
You know, the special effects, not great. Some of them are actually quite good. The scene with when the garden gnomes are attacking them, that all looked really good. But there's like a scene with a werewolf and a yeti and a giant praying mantis, and those were not great. If you're into the Goosebumps books, obviously tons of references to pretty much all the big Goosebumps books. Not Say Cheese and Die though. I was disappointed. No Say Cheese and Die reference, which was my favorite one.
Oh man.
So I'd say, you know, if you have kids, go check it out. If you were a fan of the Goosebumps books and you want some nostalgia, check it out. It's not nearly as bad as I expected it to be. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. So Goosebumps in theaters.
Nice. I have 2 short films that I watched, both from director Ricky D'Ambrose. Pilgrims, which is the first one of his, and then the one that came out this year. It might still be on nobudge.com. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know how long it was supposed to be on there, but that's where I watched it. So, and I have a review up for 6 Cents in the Pocket, which has a link in there, so you can check and see if it's still there. But this is quite something. 14 minutes long. Played, I think, the New York Film Festival, and it got a little bit of buzz out of there. And then finally getting to check it out on No Budge. And I gotta say, I was impressed between this and Pilgrims, and they're both kind of the same style. It's got this Bresson feel, but in my eyes, much better, much more refined. And man, it's different. It's really different. And that's probably the number one thing that I love about it, is it's really difficult to try and find something that's comparable to what you're seeing style-wise. I mean, the closest that I can come would be like a contemporary, like Sabbatical. It kind of feels like that, and it has this like really somber tone to it, but it's kind of playful at the same time. It's different. I highly suggest it. I think I mean, even at 14 minutes, it's one of my favorite films of the year.
And this is specifically 6 Cents in a Pocket that you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, Pilgrims is a lot. It's a lot of like with 6 Cents in the Pocket. It's, you know, the same exact style, the same kind of structure, but 6 Cents in the Pocket is just a more refined version of it. I mean, the storyline's a little bit different, but the style is definitely more refined. And it's just it's an improvement from Pilgrims. Pilgrims is still a decent short, but leaps and bounds better with 6 Cents in the Pocket.
Now, are both of those on No Budge?
Both of them are on No. If you go to the link that has 6 Cents in the Pocket, you can watch that there. And then in their little blurb about the film, there's a link for Pilgrims in there.
Oh, okay.
So you can see both of them.
Cool. So check that out. I'm going to give those a watch today since they're short and breezy.
Short and breezy.
I saw The Green Inferno by Eli Roth.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Not a big fan of this one, unfortunately. I like, and I've talked about cannibal movies on the show before. I like cannibal movies of the early 80s. The only problem I had with all of them is almost every single one of them, in fact, I think maybe every single one of them, contained real animal killings, and those were always the big turnoff about that. Fortunately, The Green Inferno does not feature any real animal killings, but the influences are there. I mean, the Green Inferno is the same title as one of those cannibal movies, and it's the problem that I have with Eli Roth's movies is he likes to employ a very slow build-up. He he likes to establish the characters. He likes to establish the relationships of the characters. He builds the plot, and then he releases the fury. The problem is the characters are always bland and generic, and the dialogue is always bad. It's always just the most laughable dialogue. And recently, the actors that he's been employing, mainly his wife, and I apologize, but they're just not very good actors. They're just not very good. And his wife is not, she's not horrible. He's married to Lorenzo Izzo, she's in this. She was in Aftershock, which he didn't direct, but he like produced it and was in it. And she's in Knock Knock. She's one of the two girls in Knock Knock. It just turns you off of the whole movie before it really even gets into it. Now, what happens in this movie is it's a group of students, college students, who are in this kind of activist group, and they end up flying to Peru in order to protest loggers, I believe, people that are stripping the forest. Mm-hmm. And they do that. When they're leaving, their plane crashes, and everything after that plane crash is pretty exciting. The plane crash itself is brutal and horrific and very, very effective. And then obviously what happens is the survivors of the plane crash end up getting captured by a cannibal tribe who starts eating them. And that stuff, it's gory. It's really, really gory and disturbing. And some of it's pretty effective. So overall, it's really hit or miss for me. I like this a lot more than Knock Knock, and I will say that it is the best of his visually, but I think that a lot of that is due to the fact that he actually went to Peru in the rainforest and that's where he shot.
Yeah.
The other thing that I give this movie credit for is the fact that he actually used a real tribe down there to be the tribe in the movie, so it feels very real. It doesn't feel like actors wearing, tribal gear and pretending to be this native tribe. It really is a native tribe, and that really sells it. So, if you like Eli Roth's previous films, I would say check it out, but don't expect anything amazing in the way. Like, this probably won't land on my top 10 horror movies of the year list or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. So, good year overall for Eli Roth between Knock Knock and Green Inferno for you?
No.
Oh.
No, not a good year for Eli Roth. I still want to like him for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe because he's always been kind of a champion of the horror genre. And I like that he's sort of like not talent wise or skill wise, but he's sort of like Tarantino, where all his movies are, very clearly influenced by classic exploitation and horror films.
Yeah, which I think might also be his problem.
Yeah, but it also, recently he's been having his voice is becoming a lot more clear. I mean, he's being clearly influenced by his experiences in Chile and his wife, and because they all have this kind of like Chilean vibe to them now. So I don't know, but it just makes me actually want Tarantino to do a horror movie. I want Quentin Tarantino to do a horror movie so bad. But anyway, that's The Green Inferno. Do you have anything else?
Nope, that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I did see Tales of Halloween, but I'm going to save that till next week. We're going to do a Halloween show next week where we review a bunch of horror movies, so stay tuned for that. The only other one I'll mention is a film called Bloody Knuckles. This comes out this week, I believe, on Blu-ray and DVD, and it's a horror movie of sorts, a horror comedy. Think Idle Hands. Remember Idle Hands?
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure I do.
Think Idle Hands with more of a message behind it. So basically, the film is about this guy who is he's a cartoonist, and he has this magazine where he kind of is a very politically incorrect magazine where he pokes fun at various issues and things like that. And one issue, he ends up pissing off the Chinese triad that's in his neighborhood, and they come and they cut his hand off in order to censor him or send him a warning, essentially. And it turns out that the hand ends up getting this chemical on it that makes it come to life, and the hand starts running amok throughout this dude's life, and it starts going after the triad, and it does all this other stuff. And I wasn't expecting much from this one, but I actually kind of liked it quite a bit. I mean, it's very lowbrow, but it's just fun. It was just a fun movie. It's really gory. A lot of all the effects works practical for the most part, and it's okay. It's okay. It's good for the budget that this movie has. Very low budget movie. The all the work with the hand, the severed hand that's running around, that all looked really good. Like I was pretty impressed with how they did that. So when that comes out this week, I would actually recommend checking it out. It's called Bloody Knuckles.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Let's move on and talk about some predictions. Last week, Goosebumps. I said 69, you said 68, actual 71 on that.
Wow.
71 on the Goosebumps. Crimson Peak, I said 86, you said 70, actual 68.
Oh.
Yeah, I was a little bit off on that one. I guess I just had high hopes. I have not seen that yet, but hopefully next week that'll be one of the ones we're going to talk about. Bridge of Spies, I said 82, you said 78, actual 92.
Whoa.
On the Bridge of Spies.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about what we got coming up next week. Next week, in theaters, we have The Last Witch Hunter.
Oh.
It's the one with Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Hunting some witches.
Get them witches.
This one looks absolutely awful to me.
It looks terrible. Looks really terrible. I'm sorry.
Elijah Wood's in this. I didn't even know he was in this. I don't even know if he's in any of the trailers or anything for this.
I think he is. He's like a priest, I think.
Oh yeah.
Man, that's like, I've been waiting my whole life to help you.
Yeah, I remember that now. What are you thinking on The Last Witch Hunter?
I'm thinking 38.
38?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 34. We also have Gem and the Holograms. Uh-oh. Oh boy.
And the holograms.
Yeah. I'm gonna say 27 on that one.
I'm gonna say 20.
That looks so bad. So bad. Why wouldn't you make it... If you're making a Gem and the Holograms movie, why wouldn't you make it in the 80s, first of all? And why wouldn't... And I don't get that. I don't get that at all. If they made it in the 80s, I think it would have worked a lot better. Because then people that actually grew up with the show would want to go see that. But as it stands, the target audience of Gem and the Holograms, the movie, they're not going to know what the hell Gem and the Holograms is. I barely remember that show.
Yeah, and the other thing that kind of worries me a little bit is you have Gem and the Holograms, right? Written by a guy, so the screenplay's by a guy, and it's directed by a guy.
Yeah.
Like, why? Well, how did we let that happen?
Yeah, I don't know. That one doesn't look very good. We also have Paranormal Activity, Ghost Dimension. Now, this is actually only getting a limited release next week, but it's on like 1,300, almost 1,400 screens. So it's like kind of a limited release, but kind of a wide release.
My wife was telling me yesterday that a lot of places are boycotting it. They're like refusing to show it.
Yes. I think Regal is not...
Good on you.
Well, it's not due to content or anything. It's because of a deal that they cut with VOD providers or something. There's a shortened span of time that it's going to be in theaters versus VOD. So theater owners were pissed about that. So that's why. That's why some theater chains.
I thought it was more based on they were just sick and tired of having too many paranormal activities, and they're just like, no. Unfortunately, no. It's just due to the weird. Well, in my head, I'm gonna keep it that way.
We're gonna predict. We're gonna go ahead and predict it anyway. So, what are you thinking on Paranormal Activity: Ghost Dimension?
6.
I love how quick you were on that 6. I'm gonna say 12.
Wow. Oh. I love the tagline for the first time. You will see the activity. What?
We didn't see the activity before.
Excuse me? Can you explain that a little bit, please?
Oh my god. What a nightmare.
What have we been doing this entire time?
This is like the sixth one of them. What's going on? What is this activity that we haven't seen?
We've just been dicking around, apparently.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And limited release next week, we also have Rock the Casbah. That's the one with Bill Murray. Suffragette, the women's suffrage movement one that doesn't look great to me. It's the one with Meryl Streep, and I don't know. I don't know what to think about that one. Are you interested in that one?
I don't know. I haven't really seen much for it.
I haven't heard too much about it, so...
I just get the sense that it's one of those kind of standard historical, by the book bullet points. Just hit them.
Yeah, probably. It is. I think it is like a fictionalized take on that, like as far as the characters and stuff. But so we also have Diffrit. It's the one that's it's like being promoted by Angelina Jolie, but I don't really know too much about it. We also have Heart of a Dog. I want to see this one. This looks quite good. You interested in that one? Have you seen anything about that one? Heart of a Dog?
I have not. I think maybe I've heard of it.
Check it out. I think that it's kind of right up your... It's like this experimental, weird art house type movie. So
has a character named Man Hit by Duck.
Yeah, it looks weird, but it also looks really interesting. So
it immediately piques my interest.
Yeah, watch the trailer for that one. I think you'll be sold.
Okay.
Bone Tomahawk with Kurt Russell.
Such a great title.
I heard many good things about this one, so I'm gonna be checking this one out next week. I'm excited for it. Kurt Russell being a badass. I think he's fighting cannibals in it or something. I'm totally sold. Nasty Baby. That's the one with Kristen Wiig.
Very interested in this one.
Yeah, it seems like it's gonna be kind of weird. Like it's the one by the guy that did the Magic, right?
Yes. And,
Magic and the Crystal Fairy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always have a difficult time remembering those films.
So do I. Because they came out back to back and they were just...
And they were both meh.
Yeah, they were both meh. Well, Magic was way better in my opinion, but I Smile Back, which is the one with Sarah Silverman. It's a drama with Sarah Silverman. Sounds kind of interesting. Tokyo Tribe, which we reviewed last week. We both liked that one. And Klinger, which was one that I saw at a festival a long time ago that I cannot recommend. It's a horror comedy. Oh, so many horror comedies. God.
All about some horror comedies.
Next week on VOD, we have Tokyo Tribe, Bone Tomahawk, A Wonderful Cloud, and All Work, All Play. The All Work, All Play one was, that's about professional video gamers. So I may check it out, but if I have time. All right, what do we have on VOD or Blu-ray next week? We have Jurassic World, Back to the Future trilogies coming out on Blu-ray. They're cashing in on that. They sure are. The whole Back to the Future. Everybody's cashing in. Everybody is cashing in on that. Because next week is the day that Marty and Doc went to the future in Back to the Future Part 2.
Oh boy.
So we're seeing all kinds of crazy Back to the Future stuff. The Pepsi, did you see that they're coming out with the Pepsi that was from Back to the Future Part 2? Yeah, I'll buy one just for the hell of it. It's fun. I love Back to the Future Part 2. It's my favorite one. So it's also the 30th anniversary of the original Back to the Future.
Quick question. Do you think it's probably time I should watch those?
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. Wait. Hold the phone.
Okay.
You've never seen any of them?
I think I've seen a good bit of the first one.
Oh my God.
I think. I don't know.
Yes, Kevin. Yes, it is time to see the Back to the Future movies.
Something that I should be doing. Are you sure?
Absolutely. I absolutely love Part 1 and 2. I love. Part 3 is a meh for me. Okay. But Part 1 and 2 are incredible. They're classics. They're classics.
I'll try and do that.
Yes. Jesus.
Sorry. God.
Another one that's coming out on Blu-ray next week is the Larry Fessenden collection. I'm interested in this one. This is a collection of his films from 1991 to 2006. Let's see. I'm looking to see what titles are included in this. It looks like No Telling from 1991, Habit from 95, Wendigo from 2001, and The Last Winner from 2006.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm interested in that. I like Larry Fessenden. Let's see what else. Paper Towns, I Spit on Your Grave 3, Frightmares coming out. That's from 1983. That's getting a Scream Factory release from the looks of it. Z for Zachariah. The Vatican Tapes. Let's see. What else? Looks like The Wolf Pack coming out on Blu-ray. They have they're doing a gallery show next week that I'm going to be going to check out.
You gonna go check that out?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be kind of interesting. And that's pretty much it.
All right. Yeah.
What do we have in the way of criterions?
We have one criterion. One. And that's a Blu-ray re-release of Qui-Gon. Saki Kobayashi's Qui-Gon from 1965.
You were into that one, weren't you?
I was into that one. Cool. It's a nice little, I haven't seen this one in a while. But this version is the original 3-hour cut that was never before released in the United States. So that's pretty interesting. Plus, it'll also be coming out on the Hulu Plus and iTunes, along with the dual format Blu-ray DVD.
Cool. I'm excited to see. This just reminded me of it. That movie, the new Draft House one that they are re-releasing, Dangerous Men. Have you seen that? The trailer?
I've seen a little bit. I haven't seen the trailer yet, though.
Oh, you got to watch the trailer for that. Oh my God, I'm so amped for that one. It's gonna be ridiculous. All right, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. And please take a minute to take a look at our Patreon page, patreon.com/FilmPulse, and consider helping us out by becoming a subscriber. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson, and we will see you on Thursday for Ryan Watches a Movie.
Oh, yeah. House is on fire.
Did you just set off a fire alarm?
Yeah. One second.
You're so mellow.
I'm not mellow anymore. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Good?
Situation handled.
Nice.